Right now, from your hurricane headquarters, 12 News is helping you and your family prepare for storm season. Evacuations are always a concern. Here, TxDOT's plan to get rid of big bottlenecks in Hardin County.
Plus, the return of El Nino. Our team of StormTrackers will break down what'll make this season different in terms of forecasting.
And we're talking flood insurance, the things you need to remember before a storm bears down on the Gulf Coast.
The 12 News StormTrackers Hurricane Headquarters is brought to you by Emerson Power Solutions and Assured Rest.
Hi everyone, I'm Jordan Williams.
And I'm Brenda Matuti. We have a lot of important information we want to share with you over the next 30 minutes. It's part of our commitment to putting Southeast Texas first. Here are 3 things to know. First, technology will be a huge help this storm season. From new apps to special flood sensors, we'll break down what you'll want to download. Second, this is the time to check your storm supplies. Meteorologist Jeff Gerber has you covered. He's hitting the hardware store with tips.
Shopping with Jeff. And third, we are transitioning into an El Nino weather pattern that really puts a new twist on the forecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn to explain.
What can we expect for 2023 in the Atlantic hurricane season? Well, let's take a look at the average 20-year average. 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes. Last year, we saw 14, 8, and 2, pretty close to normal, and that was because we saw subsidence, our sinking air, and also Saharan dust limiting the numbers. The Colorado State forecast calls for 13, 6, and 2, and that is slightly below normal. Why are we seeing this happen? Well, we've had back-to-back-to-back hyperactive seasons because of La Nina, and it created very favorable conditions in the Atlantic Basin. Now we're going to El Nino, which means warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the eastern Pacific. That changes all the wind dynamics in the Caribbean, causing subsidence and sinking air there, and also quite a bit of shear due to the subtropical jet stream in the northern Gulf of Mexico.
All right, Patrick, we'll see you again in a few minutes. Now, the National Weather Service has also been preparing for hurricane season. In May, meteorologists participated in training at the Hurricane Center over in Miami. Behind the scenes at their headquarters in Lake Charles, meteorologists are also busy at work, tracking long-term trends and outlooks for the season. The Lake Charles location is no stranger to damage. In 2020, Hurricane Laura ripped through Lake Charles. The high-power radar was blown apart by the eye wall of the storm. It was replaced in 2021. The experts there say now they're ready for hurricane season, but here's their best advice for you.
If we get a hurricane in the Gulf and it's pointing in your direction, you need to have a place to go. You know, you need a place to evacuate to, maybe your friends or relatives that are further north, that are further inland, and a safer place to get to, just to stay safe.
A place to hunker down, know where you plan to go in the event of a mandatory evacuation, and make a packing list now. It'll help you stay organized during what could be a chaotic time.
So let's spend a minute and talk about how you'll get out if there's a need to evacuate. Just mention Rita, and it's enough to make people's blood pressure go up. TxDOT put out this new map. It's quite detailed, as you can see. Highways 69 and 96 are our major escape routes. And if you look closely, you can see the state has highlighted areas for additional evac lanes or even contraflow. Now, TxDOT's also considering a new highway that would stretch roughly 20 miles, starting south of Lumberton, heading all the way just north of Kuntz. The exact route hasn't been decided. In the past few months, TxDOT has held community meetings to gauge input. As Cameron Seibert reports, people say there's a big need.
As TxDOT lays the groundwork on a new project, the people affected most got to weigh in.
This is the area I live in. I live right here.
A new 20-mile relief roadway for Highway 69 will look to clear up traffic and help with hurricane evacuation.
I don't think anybody can really argue about the need for it.
In his 38 years living in Lumberton, David Desermo has seen new development. His concern with this one is flooding.
This needs to be elevated, not just building up road beds, it needs to be elevated on bridges from Cooks Lake Road all the way across 421.
The exact route is still undecided. TxDOT officials are considering multiple locations, and tonight's feedback could help them settle on the right spot.
People who live here, people who drive through this area, we want them to all come and tell us, what they think about these different routes.
The more feedback, the better, so everything and everyone is considered.
US 69 is a very vital corridor for our area. It's tremendously important when it comes to hurricane evacuation, very important for freight movement as well. And so we want to provide the best system for our area that we can.
We have to build bridges and get all the way to past 421.
Construction won't start until 2035, so still plenty of time to share your 2 cents.
And I think it can be a pretty good plan if they do that.
Cameron Seibert, 12 News.
Now, we also know it's not cheap to evacuate. From gas to groceries and lodging, it adds up quickly. And inflation adds a new worry to budgeting for an emergency evacuation. It's a concern that's top of mind for our local officials. So 12 News spoke with Port Arthur Mayor Thurman Bartee. He says it's important to have a budget of sorts.
But just to ask people to begin to be frugal with their finances, because these things can occur. And if they do, it might, adversely affect them financially, So that's something that I would want us to, I want them to be aware of.
If you live in Jefferson, Orange, or Hardin counties, you can always contact 211 if you need assistance with evacuation plans.
Now, Beaumont city leaders are taking action this hurricane season to make sure history doesn't repeat itself. They want to protect the city's water supply during future storms. That means elevating the city's main water pumps along the Neches. You may remember during Harvey, floodwaters overpowered the pump at Collier's Ferry. Back then, the water was 19.5 feet. So now the plan is to elevate the pumps all the way to 21 feet. Officials hope this will be completed by fall of 2024. Now, Hardin County also scored some more money to fight flooding. The county received $11.2 million from the American Rescue Plan. Leaders say the cash will be put toward drainage issues. Judge Wayne McDaniel says they want to improve a drainage ditch behind the Parkway Life Church at the intersection of Mitchell Road and FM 3513. McDaniel expects the projects to be completed in 2024.
In Southeast Texas, we know every little drainage project helps, so it's good to hear about that.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime, though, we know street flooding will continue to happen. Now, it turns out there is an app that can help us.
Absolutely. Simply snapping a photo could help in the fight against flooding. Gloria Walker explains.
A phone and a stop sign. That's all you need to help prevent flooding in Port Arthur. And it's all thanks to a new app called BluePix.
This is just another weapon, if you will, for flooding. And this is basically gathering the data.
Port Arthur Mayor Thurman Bartee says a construction science professor from Texas A&M approached him about bringing the BluePix app to the city. The app helps measure flooding in real time, and because flooding poses such a great risk to Southeast Texans, Mayor Bartee says he's excited to put this new tool to work.
I believe that we should use every resource, every instrument that we have, and for sure in a community like mine here in Port Arthur.
This is how the app works. You'll go to the BluePix app and create an account. Once you do that, you'll upload a photo. Take a photo of the sign, submit it, and that's it. The app will then compare the flooded stop sign to a pre-flooded photo of that same sign. Using artificial intelligence, it will provide real-time, precise information about flood levels. This will help city leaders make key decisions.
Now you try to be prepared, or you are preparing yourself to either correct the infrastructure or do something that would actually mitigate, so to speak, the possibility or the probability of the flood.
And all it takes is a quick snap of a stop sign. Gloria Walker, 12 News.
Straight ahead on your hurricane headquarters, the do's and don'ts for flood insurance and the reason many of us are paying even more to protect our property.
But first, so many storms. Storm Tracker meteorologist Carrie Cooper helps us understand why the last 3 hurricane seasons were so severe.
The 12 News Storm Trackers Hurricane Headquarters is brought to you by Emerson Power Solutions and Assured Rest.
Harvey, Imelda, Laura, and Delta. Just some of the storms that have inflicted their wrath on our region over the past few years. When you look at these pictures, it's easy to understand why so many of us have storm fatigue. And it's not your imagination. We've had a series of really rough years.
Yeah, we asked our Storm Tracker meteorologist Carrie Cooper to break it all down for us by the numbers.
Well, the last 3 hurricane seasons have been La Nina season. It has been very, very active, as you've seen over the past 3 years. In fact, 2020 we had 30 named storms, 14 hurricanes, 7 of those becoming major. What a year that was. I think everyone remembers that. And of course, we jump up to 2021, the 3rd most active season with 21 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 4 of those becoming major. So yes, it has been very active the last 2 or 3 years with these La Nina conditions. 2022, the 3rd most costliest hurricane season, even though we had fewer hurricanes. The reason being we had a lot of Saharan dust across the Atlantic into the Caribbean and parts of the Gulf of Mexico, and a lot of sinking air subsidence out in the tropical Atlantic as well. 1991 to 2020, the average compared 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 of those becoming major.
All right, Carrie, straight ahead here on your hurricane headquarters, watching water levels, the new sensors that offer real-time flooding data.
The 12 News StormTrackers Hurricane Headquarters is brought to you by Emerson Power Solutions and Assured Rest.
We are back with a website you'll want to keep handy when flood waters start to rise. It's called the Southeast Texas Regional Alerting and Information Network, or Southeast Texas RAIN. Over the past year, 74 flood sensors were installed. Now, those sensors provide real-time updates to that website that tracks flooding. Simply Google SE Texas RAIN and you'll be taken right to the flood sensor data. It's really neat technology. Now, we may be in for a bit of reprieve this year. As you may have heard, forecasts are trending toward a more normal year.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's all because of a giant shift in the global weather pattern. Let's bring back in Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn to explain.
Well, you need several factors or ingredients to create a hurricane. A lot of times I see on Facebook, the Gulf of Mexico water temperatures are 5 degrees above normal. They're in the mid 80s. Well, just because you have above normal sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico does not guarantee a hurricane. You've got to have light wind shear, plentiful atmospheric moisture, rising air, and a kicker of showers and storms. Last year, we had quite a bit of subsidence and sinking air and dry air just above the surface. So that dry air really helped limit the number of thunderstorms developing. Plus, we had subsidence or sinking air. So all these factors have to be met, not just above normal sea surface temperatures. We are seeing El Nino develop in the eastern Pacific, right off the coast of South America. These temperatures in the water are some 3 to 5 degrees above normal. So what is that doing? Well, normally we have quite a bit of convection over towards Indonesia on the other side of the Pacific. Now that has moved a rising zone in the eastern Pacific. So that is creating most of the thunderstorm activity there. So what does that induce? It induces sinking air in the main development zone, the Caribbean and also the southwestern Atlantic. So sinking air is not a good thing. That also drags in drier air from aloft down to the ground or down to the sea surface. Plus, we're going to have an energized subtropical jet stream over the Gulf of Mexico. So shear is not a good thing, sinking air is not a good thing, and neither is dry air.
Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate that explanation. You don't want to wait until a storm is closing in on the Gulf to go and buy flood insurance. It takes 30 days for a flood insurance policy to take effect after you buy it. Now, if you are insured and are forced to deal with damage this year, attorney Candice Colucci has this important reminder. Repairing any damage to your property after a hurricane could be a violation of your policy.
They start repairing their damages before they let their insurance company know. So they're not sure the extent of the damage. They see a little leak, so they just have someone just fix that little spot, yet they haven't called in that claim yet.
Yeah, talk to your insurance provider about your damage before making any repairs. And remember, insurance companies often put a hold on approving new policies once a storm enters the Gulf of Mexico.
Now, here we are no stranger to natural disasters in Southeast Texas, and experts want to remind you that if you do get any storm damage this year, do your homework before beginning any repairs. Keep in mind, not everyone has good intentions, and disasters really can provide the perfect opportunity for people who are looking to defraud you. Some contractors may be legit, but others could have a different plan. Scammers will often try to get you to pay for repairs up front. That, however, should be a big red flag. When in doubt, contact the BBB.
Better Business Bureau does is it credits businesses. And we cover businesses across all industries, but specifically contractors, those that are going out and in your home. So one thing we encourage victims of natural disasters to do is to use accredited businesses.
And I've had to rebuild my house a couple of times as well through storms, and you learn to have really good conversations with whoever you're looking at doing some work with you, and make sure that you do your homework, check on them, look at those reviews.
You should shop around to get more than one estimate for any work that needs to be done. The BBB also recommends that you pay close attention to the documentation that you're signing. Also, skip the offers to waive your insurance deductible because that's illegal.
We are not the only ones making preparations for hurricane season. Search and rescue groups like the Cajun Navy and Gulf SAR have been preparing since the end of last hurricane season. From considering where to stage resources to recruiting volunteers, it is a year-round operation, and advanced planning is critical. If a storm were to hit tomorrow, these trained volunteers say they're ready to respond.
Safety for us is the #1 priority. We don't put anybody on a boat unless they've been trained.
Now, if you are still interested in volunteering, Gulf SAR has an app where you can sign up to volunteer, to donate, or to call for help in an emergency. We have a link to learn more about the Gulf SAR and also the Cajun Navy volunteering program. Just go to our website, 12newsnow.com.
All right, this is a good time to check on your storm supplies. Do you have enough food and water? And are those batteries still in working condition?
And check those generators. So many of you have those. Storm Tracker meteorologist Jeff Gerber joins us now with some of the things that often get overlooked.
First thing you got to do as far as hurricane season goes is get your supplies ready to go. And we have our supply specialist from M&D Supply right here, Frank. And you've been doing this for a long time. And you know that before the season starts, you got to get your stuff early.
Absolutely. Over 20 years and many hurricanes have gone through us and we've seen the panic come in. I wasn't prepared. I didn't get ready. You're out of supplies. So that's why it's good to prep. Get your things early. Get the things that you sometimes forget about. Many people forget about first aid kits or bug sprays or anything to antiseptic and sanitize things because things are dirty. You don't have water. You don't have all the accessories that you're going to need to keep yourself safe. So make sure you're picking up those things too. Hurricane lists are available, I'm sure, on your station. You can look at that list, pull it up, walk to the shore, do some shopping, get prepared. Hey, June is just a month away or so. Yeah. And we never know what to expect in this area, right?
Now, everybody thinks about whether you're talking about hurricane supplies, water, flashlight, batteries, but there's a lot of other things like battery-powered things.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of full line of battery-powered equipment. You know, you might need battery-powered equipment to run. It's not going to run off of a generator or electricity. Fans, power tools, saws, and different things that you might need in those cases. Plus, we have a full line of generators from 2,000 watt to 12,000 watt, standby generators from Generac. So all those things, a lot of people usually wait on a generator or didn't want to buy one, but this year I will. So come in and take a look at what we've got. We can help you pick the right one.
And also things to cook with, grills and things like that. People don't think about that kind of stuff.
Camp stoves, food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so the propane is also important, okay? Make sure you get all your propane bottles filled. Max them out. Okay, if you need small propane bottles, large propane bottles, 100-gallon tanks, we have the whole gambit from the small to the large, so we can take care of you no matter what you might need. We've been doing this for 25 years. We know what happens when hurricanes come, and we will be prepared for it. We will be stocked.
Yeah. And you need to be stocked as well at home. Make sure you get your supplies early.
Jeff talking to the pros there. All right, up next, the big change you'll notice with hurricane forecasts this year, and why experts say it should help put more people on alert sooner.
The 12 News Storm Trackers Hurricane Headquarters is brought to you by Emerson Power Solutions and Assured Rest.
We're back with a sure sign of progress. It's been nearly 6 years since Harvey destroyed Riverfront Park in downtown Beaumont. Earlier this year, city leaders broke ground on the rebuilding project. Crews will stabilize the shoreline, and the city plans to add a new boat dock and more lighting. Now, FEMA is covering most of the $17 million cost. When you see hurricane forecasts this year, many of you will notice something new.
The giant storm cone was going to be a lot larger. That's because the National Hurricane Center will add the cone to the forecast sooner. Storm Tracker meteorologist Carrie Cooper joins us to explain.
Well, one thing you'll notice in this hurricane season of 2023 will be some changes in the future forecast. The cone with tracking tropical systems across the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. In the past, we've always had 5-day cones where the center of the circulation could go on the right side of the cone or the left side of the cone or even in the middle. And of course, the farther out you go, the wider the cone. This year, we're extending it to a 7-day cone. At least the Tropical Prediction Center will be extending it to a 7-day forecast. Now notice the cone is wider at 7 days. Reason being, the farther out you go, the more uncertainty you have. So let's say you have a storm moving southeast of Miami, stays on the right side of this cone. You're going to have very little effect, especially on the west coast of Florida. On the other hand, it works on the west side of the cone. You can see big impacts around Pensacola, maybe even toward New Orleans. So that's some changes this year for the Atlantic hurricane season of 2023. A 7-day cone, but remember once again, it's going to be a wider cone due to uncertainties by day 6 and day 7.
I lost everything. It wasn't nothing to be saved.
2 years ago, after Hurricane Laura, the Jenkins family is finally back inside their home. Several Orange County nonprofits like Team Rubicon, World Renew, and the Salvation Army all came together to rebuild the family home. This project took about 2.5 years. The Jenkins family applied for disaster assistance after a tree fell on top of their home. Teams surveyed the damage and the family qualified to receive free repairs.
Overwhelmed, just ready to get back into living life again and making more memories.
Start anew. With hurricane season upon us, Orange County Disaster Rebuild encourages families to start documenting the condition of your homes. You can take photos and videos of your property. They also encourage folks to have home insurance documents in order.
Yeah, and know where they are, right? We are so glad you could be with us for this special presentation from 12 News, your hurricane headquarters. If you missed any of the broadcast, you can find it on our 12 News YouTube channel or on demand inside 12 News Plus, our streaming app.
That's right, and you can stay connected anytime. Simply text hurricane to 409-838-1212. Thanks again for watching.